Hello, my yarny friends. I'm Sara Sach. Welcome back to my crochet channel. Now, today's video is our September coffee mug for our crochet along, or as some would say, teacups. All right, so January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August was, of course, our iced coffee, and September is this cute little coffee cup with a leaf on it. And of course, you can use whatever sort of button that you want to on that. Has whipped cream in it, similar to this, but done a little bit different. Okay, so this is our year-long crochet along. We made the home graph, which is a free Ravelry download, and all the coffee cups can be magnets, appliques, and some of them are even big enough to be coasters. And those patterns are all also free Ravelry PDF downloads. Okay, now this is the one we made for September. I stayed with the colors that we used on our fall colors mug, and I'm going to be using the lavender in the next one because I think it would be really cute to have. I love the orangey, but I would love to put some lavender in there just so it looks pretty and different, because I like to do them different. Each one I've done just a little bit different. And of course, there also is a YouTube playlist, so if you want to see all of them and all the patterns, you can click that playlist. It's just called Home Crochet Along. They're on the main YouTube channel page. You can click that playlist, and all the patterns for the hanging and the pillow and all the cups will all be there. Now you can also find the complete written out pattern with pictures for the September cup on my blog. And again, I'll put my blog link down in the notes underneath this video. So lots of options to find the pattern. All right, let's get started. So I'm going to be using the lavender color, amethyst, and this beige, which is khaki. I love this cotton from Hobby Lobby. Now, you can use acrylic or cotton or whatever you have, as long as it's a medium weight number 4 yarns. I've used some acrylic and some cottons because they are going to go on the fridge or on the pillow and not really go through the wash too much. All right, I do like this one also for here, but I'm not going to use this one. It's called bruschetta, so I'm not going to be using that for the demo, but that's what I used here. I'm going to do the beige where this bruschetta is, and I'm going to do lavender where this green is, or amethyst. And you're just going to need a small amount, just a cup, and not even an ounce, maybe 1/3 of an ounce. And then you need just a small amount of white for the whipped cream. All right. Now, I chose to just put a button on there. I picked up a pack that had several different types of fallish buttons, just because, and some of these, I already had this one, and I think these leaves, I think the pumpkins and the acorn are new. But I think I'm going to put the acorn on this one that has the lavender. I think that'll look really nice. And these are buttons, and I just hot glue them right on. But if you don't like that it has this circle thing on the back, the loop, you can always grab a pair of scissors and cut that off. Or you can sew it on instead of hot gluing it on. I just hot glued it on since it's not something that's going to go through the wash. All right. Okay, so that's the yarn. Medium weight number 4. I'm using amethyst, khaki, and white from Hobby Lobby. I love this cotton. And again, any medium weight number 4 yarn will work. We're going to stitch with our H-hook, which is a 5mm. You're going to need a needle for weaving in ends and a pair of scissors. Now, you're also going to need some magnets if you're going to make it into a magnet. On this one, I went ahead and used some of my leftover magnets that I had from other projects. I just saved them because I buy tablets and make grocery lists and hook them onto my refrigerator. And then I saved the magnets. This one I cut in half, so I only used half of it on this. and they're good sturdy magnets, so why throw them away? But I bought this at Dollar Tree and it had 12 magnets in it, so one for each month if you want to do that. Okay, now if you're going to put it onto your pillow or hanger, this is what I've been using. This is actually a knitting stitch marker or a stitch holder. When you want to take the loops of your knitting off your knitting needle, but because you may want to use that knitting needle, you can slide it onto one of these and it hooks right up and you don't lose your stitches. But I like to use it as a great big safety pin to attach it to my pillow or to my wall hanging. All right, but you can also use Velcro if you want, or some other method. Someone suggested when you make your pillow to hot glue a magnet on the inside, or put a hot glue magnet on the back of your wall hanging, then you can just use your magnets. That's a really great idea. I hadn't thought of that, and I think it's a really great idea. Now the last thing you're going to need, and this is also optional, is felt, and this is called peel and stick felt, and this is the last of my whites. I'm gonna have to go get some more, but what we do is we just stick it on the back, and it's good and sturdy. It makes it sturdy so it stays put on your hanging and on your refrigerator, and I just love it. I love using it. It's good and sturdy. I have never had one come off yet. I use these on the back of coasters as well. You just cut the shape you need, and then you can peel the back off and stick it on. And that sticky is super strong. All right. Again, that's optional. All right. So this is everything we need for today's September coffee mug project. All right. I'm starting with my color 1, which was my khaki or beige. We've got our slip knot, and we're going to chain 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to stitch a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And then we'll stitch in those last 3. All right, and chain 1. And so we have 4 single crochets for row 1. Let's do row 2. We've chained 1. We're going to turn our work. We're going to stitch 2 single crochets in that first stitch. Our chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So we'll go right in that first one and stitch 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. Then we'll stitch 1 in the next 2. 1, 2, and then stitch 2 in that last single crochet. 1 and 2, and chain 1. And so for row 2, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 single crochets, chain 1. Now for row 3, we've chained 1. We're going to turn our work, and we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in those 6 single crochets. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and chain 1. So we started with 4, and then row 2 had 6, and row 3 also has 6 single crochets. Now we're ready for row 4. We've chained 1, turn our work, 2 single crochets in the first, 1 and 2, and 1 single crochet in the next 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 2 single crochets in our last stitch. 1 and 2, and chain 1. So now we have 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 single crochets for row 4. All right, there we go. We chained 1, turn our work, and now we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in those 8 single crochets. There's 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. 8 and chain 1. All right. So for row 5, we have 8 single crochets, just like row 4. Now after row 5, we should not have chained 1 because we're going to change colors. I took that out. We're going to bring in our pretty amethyst. I keep wanting to call it lavender or violet. And then chain 1. We're going to leave our color 1 attached because we'll bring it back in. All right, we're going to turn our work. Just move those strands of yarn out of the way. We're going to stitch 2 single crochets in the first stitch. 1 and 2. Then we're going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those stitches across until we reach that last single crochet. And then in the last one, we're going to stitch 2 single crochets. And this will give us, there we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 single crochets and chain 1. We chained 1, we're going to turn our work, and now for the next 3 rows, we're just going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 10 single crochets across. All right, so I have 10 single crochets, and I'll do this 2 more times, and that will give us 4 rows of our color 2. So chain 1, turn, and 1 single crochet in each of our single crochets across. I did 2 rows, and I need to do 2 more, so we have 4 rows of our color 2. So I have 4 rows of our purple or orchid or lavender amethyst. All right, I'm going to cut that off because I'm done with my color 2. I'm going to bring up my color 1. There we go. Chain 1. I'm going to be real careful not to let that get puckered up. And we'll weave those in just a minute, okay? So I chained 1. I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 10 stitches. All right, there's 10. I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and just repeat that. All right, so now I'm going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 10 again. Oop, that purple one hanging out there trying to get in the way. There we go. Go ahead and chain 1. And so now I've stitched 2 of my color 1. 2 rows. Now we're going to evenly single crochet down the side, across the bottom, and back up here. And then we'll form our handle. Okay? All right, so we chained 1. What I do is I just push those down. I do want you to stitch over here where we carried our yarn though. All right, so we're going to go right in that first stitch there. And we're working on the sides of the stitches, evenly single crocheting down. And see how I stitch over that yarn that we carried? But I didn't stitch over the color 2 on. So we're going to weave those in into the back. And that's one other nice thing about that sticky felt, is it covers all those weave ends up as well and holds them in place. Alrighty, so I'm trying to stitch in the sides of the stitches and not the holes, but it really is just eyeballing it. There isn't a set number of stitches you need across or down the side, I should say. Alright, so I've evenly single crocheted down the side. I'm going to move that tail of yarn out of the way because we're going to have to weave that in. Alright, and now I'm just going to go across the bottom. Alright, and now I'm going to turn and come up the other side. And again, we're going up the side, evenly stitching, trying to make it look pretty and neat. Until we reach up to where we started our first single crochet on this row. Alright, so we're going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch and go ahead and chain 1. And this is how it should look. I'm going to kind of flatten it out for you at this point. Alright, so now we're going to add our handle. We always called them the cup ears. So we're going to turn our work, coming back down this same side. We're going to slip stitch in the first 2 stitches. And now we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oop, there we go. We're going to skip 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and join to the next with a slip stitch. We're going to chain 1 and turn back up. And in this, we are going to single crochet 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Let's pull those down a little bit. 5, 6, and 7. Then we'll just slip stitch in that slip stitch and cut our yarn and tie that off. And we'll pull that to the back so it looks nice and neat. The string, not the handle. We don't want the handle on the back. All right, I'm going to hide all those strings so you can see how it looks. All right, that's how it should look. All right, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to weave in all these ends. All right, and then we'll put our button on. I have tidied it up, weaved in all the ends. Looks nice and neat. All right, and before I put the backing on, I want to add my button. All right, and oh, my glue stick is dripping. Let's get that off of there. Or my glue gun. I like to use the hot glue on these. You can use different types of glue. Fabric glue like this works. You can also use Gorilla Glue E6000. All right, so I'm just going to put like a little blob right here. There we go. Bring that up. And I'm going to put it at kind of a tilt. I think it looks cute at a tilt. All right. All right, I'll put my glue gun back up. So now I have my button on. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to put my sticky felt on. Now, make sure that you leave a space up here so that you can use your pin if you're not going to use this as a magnet, but as a applique for your pillow or your wall hanging. All right. So now if you'll notice, it's not exactly perfectly shaped. What I do is I set it down on the felt, I draw with a pencil around it, and then I go in about a 1/2 inch and cut the shape. The main thing is that it makes it sturdy, so it sits up on the refrigerator or on your pillow or wall hanging and looks nice and sturdy. And I really love how this looks. I got to get a little bit of that glue off of there. There we go. I don't like glue to show through. All right, now if you're going to put the magnet on, here's the other one. You can just hot glue that on. And I'm not going to put the magnet on this one because I'm going to hang this one on my hanging. But here are my 2 coffee cups. I really love them. They're super cute. I think, no, this one's still my favorite, even though I love the lavender in this. Okay, now, before we're finished, we need to add the whipped cream. But I wanted you to see that you don't have to add the whipped cream if you don't want to. All right, so let's go ahead and add that whipped cream so you can see how to do that. It's really simple. Just go into that first stitch here, grab your white, and pull that in. All right, and so now what we're going to do, let me check my notes here. We're going to single crochet in that same stitch. We're going to skip the next, and you'll notice I'm also stitching over this tail of yarn. Skip the next, and the next stitch we're going to stitch 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. We'll skip the next and single crochet in the next. Then we'll skip the next and stitch 3 in the next. 1, whoop, there we go. That string getting in the way. I'm going to move it. All right, so then single crochet in the next and stitch 3 in the next. 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll just tie that off. I'm going to go ahead and go in that next stitch and pull that loop to the back. Okay, now I wanted you to have that option if you didn't want to put the Cool Whip on the top. It's totally up to you. I like it both ways. Actually, I think it makes it look like a nice warm cup of cocoa or coffee with some Cool Whip or some cream on top. All right, I'm going to weave these in real quick. But again, you don't have to have the Cool Whip on there if you don't want to. It's just an option. And you know I love to give you options. Alrighty, let me clip these. And so now I have 2 cups of coffee with some creamer on top. I love them. So here is our September coffee cup magnet and applique. I love them, and again, you can make it with or without the whipped cream, whichever you prefer. It's super fun, and I'm already excited about October's. I'm thinking pumpkin spice.